had some great memories with my kids. I snuck my older son out of one day out of school, his senior year in high school. Went down to Baffin Bay. It was probably one of the finest days of fishing I can ever remember. No wind, dead calm. Several redfish over 30 inches, all on topwater lures, and I've got most all this stuff on film. And I was going crazy because I was doing most of the filming, and these guys kept hooking fish, and I kept having to put my rod down. Putting a measure job on him now. Won't go. I really do, or I really have enjoyed through the years taking my video camera out and trying to get some decent people on film. Unfortunately, one of my great memories was having your son and my son walking back to the boat.
I remember that.
With big stringers of trout and redfish, and you lifted your stringer. You did not have one. You did not have one fish on the stringer.
Well, what the video?
No, we don't want to hear all that
what
stuff.
The video did not show, and I remember this, Hoot. I remember this, dadgummit. What it did not show is we have a limit, you know, on redfish.
You remember it.
That you cannot keep them if they're over a certain size.
You also can't keep them if you don't get them in your hand.
Well, if you remember, I caught one that was bigger than the limit, you turkey, and I had to throw him back. Now, dadgummit, I remember that.
You sound pretty emphatic. You sound guilty to me.
He was 32 inches, and it was a 30-inch maximum.
Very defensive. As anybody will see on this video, you will see Tommy Nelms does not have a redfish. He does not have a redfish on his stringer. Doesn't have anything on his stringer. His son TJ and my son Casey beat him like a dog.
I caught one oversized redfish, believe me.
My favorite thing about fly fishing for redfish is the challenge compared to all the other types of fishing. There's hunting combined with fishing. You got to stalk that redfish. You may have to creep around on your knees, as I saw Tommy Nelms doing a few days ago. You got to be quiet. You got to look and pay attention, but there's usually some wind blowing down on the coast, and you've got to fight the wind. You have to have some talent. And you hope that talent is appreciated by that redfish when he hits your fly.
Oh, Hoot.
Good job.
Are you fishing that popper?
Yeah, I hadn't had a strike yet.
One thing you can't do with these redfish, you can't horse them in. When they want to go, you just gotta let them go. Old Captain Hoot started hammering me pretty bad on that fly fishing, and he said, Flakes, he said, I gotta get you back on that fly fishing like I've been doing for a long time. And sure enough, you know, he's a pretty good doctor, and he knows the right prescription for me.
Come on back.
And I started getting back into fly fishing, and I'll have to say, I'm definitely hooked. Hoot bird. Hooter.
Ooh.
Get on over here, partner. Oh, man. Check that color out. Tell you what. If that ain't as pretty as a baby's behind, I don't want to see it. I got these things hooked good on these poppers, Hoot. I don't know what maybe I'm just lucky today. I'm gonna get my fingers crushed here. Okay. That's what people come from all over the country to get right there. October, November redfish, Texas coast. That's what they come for. And me and my buddy, we got a school of them right now. Port O'Connor. Let's go ahead and revive him a little bit. Let him swim on off.
already over the half-century mark. I have never experienced anything like I did with our red fishing trip. I've seen trout chasing shrimp on top several times, a lot of times. But I've never seen redfish chasing a big school of shrimp up on top of the water and popping up on the top like a bunch of trout. That's where the popping cork originated, probably either in Florida or Texas along the Gulf Coast. A popping cork was used by Tommy and I for years to imitate the sound of a trout hitting a shrimp on the top of the water. Well, these redfish sounded like trout. Ploop, ploop, ploop. They still hitting the popper?
Yeah, yeah. Ken, there were 3 huge redfish came out this pothole here. They came by the pothole. I didn't say anything because I've been casting for them. I had one come by, I guarantee it was 40 inches.
I'm gonna have to get on the flat with you.
Oh, man. I didn't want to say anything. I tell you what, that scared me to death. I'm telling you, seeing those fish go through that pothole, that's what happens when you get in the school of redfish like this. They'll sit there and they'll stay with you if you'll feed them. And it just drives you bananas seeing them go by. And you got to cast in front of them. You got to lead them. I casted a few times right on top and I didn't get anything. And all of a sudden, if you'll lead them, if they're feeding, they'll come back for it.
I'm not sure you and I will ever see anything like that ever again. That's the first time I've ever seen it.
The added bonus, too, Ken, was the fact that we've seen schools of redfish. We've been in them feeding, active. But the added bonus was they weren't as big as the ones we found here. These were big, big redfish. I mean by big, I'm talking about, I think the smallest one we caught was probably about 24 inches.
Okay.
They're working around this pothole out here. I need some help. I need some help. We kind of thank our stars that we kind of came across that flat at the right time.
Well, one day we took our kayaks and got to the right area. That's the only way we were able to get to that area. And,
well, we hunted for them. We had to go hunt. We went to a bunch of different places and got El Skunko.
We got skunked.
El Skunko. 29 or 30. And we kept
going from one place to another.
That's what you got to do.
This baby here is about 29 or 30 inches. That redfish there will not be brought back to the dock. So if you catch them over 28, throw them back. Always throw them back. If they're under 20 inches, throw them back.
Tommy and I learned years ago that a lot of these redfish may move in small schools, 5 or 6, maybe 20 or 30. A lot of times if you hook one of them, 1 or 2 of their buddies, I don't know whether they're curious or what, but they'll follow them around. As a matter of fact, last year, I hooked a redfish on my fly rod, and Tommy looked behind him, and there was about a 30-inch redfish following the one that I had hooked, and he threw a topwater plug behind it. And but it's not real common. We've seen it happen a few times.
Hooter, way to go.
This is the smallest one in the bunch.
Well, you broke the spell, old buddy.
Oh, wow. You know, Flake Man?
Yeah.
That Charlie Talbot is probably one of the worst guides I've ever been with. But he finally put us on some fish.
It's like he came through in the fourth quarter.
He came through in the fourth quarter.
That's a pretty nice redfish, partner. Oop, here's a 40-incher right in front of me.
Try to get his old head up here somewhere. Whoa, son. Whew. Man, that was scary.
Chimney Rock Park here in North Carolina, beautiful place, 1,000 acres, bought privately by the Morse brothers back in 1902, still run by the Morse families. Beautiful rock formations and some great mountain flora and fauna like these rhododendrons, which we were lucky enough to find in bloom here during our visit. We're also lucky today because we get to bring you another episode of The Real Guys. Ken Ford and Tommy Nelms grew up fishing on the Texas Gulf Coast. Of course, back in the old days, they used to use bait casting, reels, spinning rods. Today, they're going to be using the fly rods, and they intend to catch a big old redfish. That's coming up next, The Real Guys.
What happened? What happened? 3 points. 3 points.